Get down on your knees and pay 1,000 more fools are being born every fucking day.
Tonight's show is brought to you by...
As the most deadly pandemic in the history of all mankind ravages our nation, more and more Americans are learning firsthand what it means to say goodbye to someone they love. The latest reports from cable news, the WHO, and a leading presidential candidate estimate anywhere from 2.5 to 120 million Americans have perished from this terrible disease. All in the middle of a terribly important election year. But if you've lost a loved one in 2020, you do not have to let their death be in vain. Here at voterip.org, we give voice to the voiceless. Visit our website and speak with one of our consultants today, and we will work to register your dearly departed to vote in Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and several other crucial U.S. states. And at no cost to you, we will make sure their votes are counted. After all, what better memorial could there be than casting a vote in their name for a lifelong politician who would have surely killed them personally if given the chance? So visit voterip.org today, because if unborn babies could have rights, shouldn't the recently deceased?
Hello and welcome to episode 38 of the War on Morons, where we speak truth to stupidity. I'm Anissa.
And I'm Jay.
And is it kind of stuffy in here, or is it just me?
You know, that's probably just that mask that you're wearing. No need for that in here. The WOM studio is a safe place.
Oh, did you have somebody come by and disinfect it?
Well, I mean, not exactly. I just, I turned off the TV.
Anyways, thanks so much for joining us for another record-setting week of dumbassery. We'll get into the headlines in just a minute, but first we want to remind you that if you're a fan of the show, subscribe for free at thewaronmorons.podbean.com so you never miss an episode.
That's right. Your support's what keeps us on the air, which is why podcast subscribers get access to every show at least 24 hours before it airs on Monday night on YouTube and Facebook, and they also get first dibs on bonus content like our brand new sports comedy podcast, Vegas Victories with Vinny V.
And remember, unlike Vinny V, we don't just want to talk at you, we want to hear from you and talk with you. So if you got something to say, don't be afraid to call into our hotline at 813-906-9099. Catch us live or leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the show.
And one last note before we get into it. We need more soldiers on the front line of foolishness, so if you like the show, follow us on YouTube, give us a like at facebook.com/waronmorons, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, or best of all, spread the word like it's contagious. Share our links with your friends.
All right, now for this week's Top Morons. From the New York Post, a police chase in Oregon ended when a driver fleeing authorities in a stolen car crashed into a woman driving another stolen car. This debacle took place on Monday when police responded to a report of a stolen Toyota Land Cruiser driving through downtown Newburgh. The pursuit ended after several blocks when the driver crashed into another car near an intersection. The second car was also reported stolen in an unrelated crime 3 weeks ago. The driver of that car, Kristen Nicole Bigue, was also found to be under the influence. Now, Cooper was charged with unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, attempting to elude police, assault, and reckless driving. Now, I don't know about you, but this sounds like the beginning of an amazing romance. Love at first sight.
First sight? If they saw each other, they wouldn't have crashed. Anyway, if you think that last one was bad, check out this story from Newsmaven. Georgia cop charged with masturbating at a Gold's Gym sauna.
Ugh!
So, Richmond County Sheriff's Deputy Lamar Andrews, 29, has been fired and arrested after he was allegedly caught masturbating in a Gold's Gym sauna on July 6th in Augusta, Georgia. Like,
pretty specific for an allegedly.
yeah, like, I mean, I guess we gotta say it because of legal reasons, but, yeah. I mean, like, I know the police are under a lot of pressure these days, but... I mean, the sauna's no place to be blowing off steam, dude. What's wrong with you?
Not to mention, this guy's doing this in the middle of fucking COVID. I mean, most states won't even let the gyms open at all. And in Georgia, this guy's able to just whip it out in the sauna?
Hey, Georgia apparently is a free state. But, I mean, like, if you believe in, like, the leftist internet memes, I mean, wearing a mask is just like wearing pants. So maybe he thought, like, the reverse. Like, no mask means no pants.
Oh, my God. All right, let's just move on. From the Daily News, AOC has blamed New York City's crime spike on parents shoplifting food for their hungry families. Despite a shocking rise in violent crime in New York, like the 300% rise in shootings last week versus the same time frame in 2019, or the double-digit shootings over the July 4th weekend, the Democratic Socialist Congresswoman blamed the bloodshed on parents committing petty theft to feed their kids. Quote, "They feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry," she said last week on a virtual town hall. Well, I mean, that's one way to think about it. At least we know it has nothing to do with the defund the police movement.
Yeah, I mean, geez, what a bug-eyed bimbo. I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like, you know, if people were getting into gunfights over Wonder Bread, we'd have covered it by now.
True.
But anyway, speaking of bread and half-baked environmentalist, a self-proclaimed eco-feminist named Louise Raguet is using female urine. Oh Christ! All right, she's using female urine to make something called Goldilocks bread.
What?
I mean, this is revolting. So this so-called baker is pissing all over the reputation of French cuisine by gathering pee from female restrooms all over Paris.
Oh!
And then I mean, I'm not a botanist, but she's using wheat that she's harvesting from the urine to bake the bread, which she proclaims as being eco-friendly. She states that her goal is to, quote, break taboos over excrement and create a sustainable food cycle. I mean, I can't wait to try her brownie recipe.
Oh my God, this article is literally making me nauseous.
I mean, we thought it was gross when they were trying to get us to eat bugs.
Well, look, on a lighter note, if she ever expands into pea-based pastries, I've got a great product line for her. Urinal cakes.
Urinal cakes. You know, remember when we used to put people like this in, you know, mental institutions?
Really?
It wasn't that long ago, you know?
Not sounding like a bad idea. I mean, anyway, look, speaking of food that isn't exactly safe for human consumption, a drug-abusing Englishman has been detained by police after biting a seagull who wanted his McDonald's meal. Now, this story's from the Plymouth Herald. Apparently, a guy was sitting outside in the port city enjoying his lunch when the aggressive bird swooped in and tried to make off with his french fries. So naturally, he caught the bird and took a bite out of it.
Holy shit! He took a bite out of the seagull.
Apparently.
Was this Ozzy Osbourne?
I think they would have mentioned that in the article. Either way, seagulls are protected in Plymouth under a local wildlife protection act. So the police got involved and the man was taken into custody.
Like, who needs to protect seagulls with a... Either way, you know, this sounds like a Mr. Bean episode gone very, very awry. Anyway, though, since you brought up McDonald's, you're not going to believe this one. So, earlier this week, the Louisiana Department of Health gave out free Mickey D's value meal vouchers to the first 500 people to show up at the LSU baseball stadium to get COVID-19 tests.
What?
I mean, I really don't even know where to start with this story. So, I mean, first we've got a government agency that's encouraging people who think that they might be sick with this, you know, infectious disease. They're encouraging them to cram into a ballpark.
Good move.
But they're rewarding people with objectively very unhealthy food that's very bad for your immune system. So they're like, hey, come on down. We're going to wreck your immune system.
Right, because when I have the worst cold of my life, the first thing I want to do is eat a fucking cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Like...
They couldn't do, like, at least, like, Lipton's?
Right? Like, chicken noodle soup? I mean, if you're sick with COVID, do you even feel like standing in line in the heat to get a hamburger coupon, to get tested, to do anything? I mean, I just want to lay in bed
Right.
and, like, maybe drink some Gatorade. And if you're not sick, I mean, how hard up for a Big Mac do you have to be to let some nurse shove a Q-tip halfway through your skull?
Well, you know, there's these people called the homeless. You ever heard of them?
Hey, I mean, they weren't giving out liquor, so...
We're gonna call the hotline.
All right, area code 631, you're on the air. State your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, hi, this is Mac. I'm calling from Flushing, Queens. How are you?
Doing good, Mac. You're calling from Queens? I thought you were in Cincinnati.
Yeah. No, I moved back home a while back. During this whole COVID thing, I had to close my restaurant down in Cincinnati, and I ended up going back and operating my restaurant in New York, but I actually ended up rebranding it. So I don't do the Impossible Chili anymore. I've got a whole new concept. That's actually kind of why I called.
Okay, well, glad to hear that you're no longer marketing fake vegan chili. What could you possibly be up to now?
No, now, I mean, I see that, it's not really about the quality of food. Because, before, when I was doing Max Impossible Chili, I put so much love and so much effort into the food that, my bottom line, it just really suffered. So now I just pump it out, and that's why I called. I mean, you were talking about these fat slobs down there in Louisiana lining up to get like a hamburger, or what was it? And that reminds me of my customers here, in Queens.
Jeez, that's not very nice of you to say.
No, you don't understand. So my rebrand, my restaurant, it's called Max Golden Food Trow. And it's a buffet, all you can eat buffet. So all my customers are just a bunch of big fat, hogs, and they just line up at the buffet like it's a trow, like it's feeding time, and they don't care what I serve them. And I can really relate, to what you were saying about down in Louisiana with, how they're so fat, they'll do anything for a hamburger.
I mean, I don't know that that's what we were saying, Mac. I mean, it sounds like you're pretty prejudiced against fat people.
No, I love them. They're so wonderful because they come down every day. Just for $15.99. I say give me $16, not even. $15.99, and you can shove as much food in your fat gullet as you can fit down there. You can bring a shovel if you like, and you can just cram it right down your fat hole. I'm making great money. I'm serving them garbage. And it's much better than the previous restaurant. I'm loving it. I'm making money in the age of COVID. Especially because Cuomo, he beat the virus. We've been able to open up now. I'm at full capacity. So it's just a great day for me.
Christ, Mac, this sounds like a nightmare on multiple levels. I mean, I can't imagine wanting to go to a fully crammed, all-you-can-eat buffet in the age of COVID.
I keep it moving, I keep it moving. There's one innovation that I've actually, recently developed, and these days it's so funny. People will do anything if you tell them it's for safety. Like you tell them they gotta wear a mask, and they gotta put on the gloves, and they gotta, use the hand sanitizer. So I tell all my customers they gotta wear a bib. I hand them a bib at the front door, when they're checking in. I personally, I give them the bib, and they have to strap it on their fat neck, before they can even, grab a plate. And what they don't understand, well, I mean, now some of them do now, but you know what a shot collar is?
For dogs? Yeah, I think they're pretty mean.
Yeah, like for a bad dog, you're trying to train, you don't want them to pee on the floor, you don't want him to jump up on the couch, you gotta give him a shot collar, and you got a little remote control, you hit the button, and it administers a nice little shot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's, all the bibs for my customers, they got a little shot collar with them, and that's how I keep it moving, and that's how I cut down on my food costs.
What?
Well, it's all you can eat, but don't go crazy with it, I don't want some slob from Long Island to eat me out of fucking house and home, so if they go for a third plate, when I hit the button.
Christ, Mac, so you're shocking your customers and scamming them out of the all-you-can-eat buffet that you promised them?
It's not meant to be a challenge. I don't want Joey Chestnut walking through the door. I'd go broke. I'd have to move back to Ohio, for Christ's sake. So, yeah, I just have to shock them a little bit, and, once you shot one or two, and then everybody else, they kind of understand. There's a price. So make the most out of your first two plates.
Unbelievable, Mac. That is really just revolting. I can't imagine.
Oh, there's one now. He's going to try to get dessert. I saw this guy. He already got 2 plates of chicken. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
For the next fatty.
Mac, this is horrible.
You're jiggling like Jello.
Stop it, Mac.
Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Hey, I gotta go. They get a little upset. I gotta go.
Unbelievable. That was insane. I mean, what the hell's wrong with that guy?
Yeah, was he shocking his customers, at the table?
Yes.
That's a new loaf, even for him. But believe it or not, he's not the only business owner pulling this kind of stuff these days.
What?
Well, I actually have a story, the perfect story, in the stack to follow up on that call. But we'll have to get to it after the commercial because we're coming up on a hard break.
Oh, yeah, good catch. Okay, we'll be back in a minute after this quick word from our sponsor.
It's me! It's Vinny V, baby! And if that name rings a bell, it's because I've been the premier handicapper at every sports book in Vegas since 1988! And now, I'm taking my talents to podcasting every week on Vegas Victories with Vinny V and Ray Robinson. If you're tired of being bored into a coma by that sanitized plop on ESPN Radio and Fox Sports, and if you want to get your sports news and commentary from a bigoted, foul-mouthed pervert instead, come on, Vinny. Nobody want to hear that foul-mouthed pervert mess, man. Do it over. Rewind it. Shut up, Ray. It's called a niche. We're not exactly going for the Mike and Mike in the morning crowd. Anyway, tune in every Friday night at 7:30 Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and podcatchers everywhere at thewaronmorons.podbean.com.
Anyway, like I was saying before the break, I've got another shocking story about an overzealous business owner here. This one's from England, where they've been really going crazy with this lockdown shit. So a pub in Cornwall installed an electric fence at the bar to keep customers socially distanced from staff.
A electric fence, like the thing you use for livestock?
Exactly. And so he installed an electric fence right at the bar, along with a warning sign. The fully charged barrier stands around a foot away from the bar, and while the owner claims that the fence is usually switched off, he was quick to warn that it can be turned on. Several drunks found out the hard way last Saturday when they got zapped by the fence on a night of drinking. That'll sober you up after a few pints, right?
Oh my God, that is insane. Is this really where we're at now? You get within 6 feet and they'll freaking electrocute you?
Apparently. But the good news is, we can actually mark this down as another successful WOM prediction, right?
What do you mean?
Well, remember, I think it was back in March, the Steel City Enforcer was doing the same thing.
He's not a real person, right?
What?
Anyway, moving on. Back in the USSA, we have another story here from the New York Post. Teens are dressing up as mask-wearing grandmas to score alcohol. Honestly, I've got to give these kids some credit. They certainly aren't the morons here, but apparently plenty of retailers throughout the country are the latest trend to hit TikTok, involving teenagers wearing elaborate costumes to buy booze with their parents' and grandparents' photo IDs. And since nobody's going to tell you to take off a mask these days, it works like a charm. I guess if there's going to be underage drinking, they may as well make it entertaining, right?
Hey, this is finally a reason to wear a mask that I can get behind.
Aren't you in your 30s?
Yeah, I am. I am in my 30s, and I'm sick and tired of kids accosting me outside of the liquor store at least once a day, asking me to buy the booze.
What? Is that a thing? I mean, what kind of liquor stores are you frequenting?
Frequenting. Just once a day. No, never mind that. Never mind that. Next story. Speaking of TikTok, a man was arrested after a video surfaced of him swimming in a giant fish tank at a Bass Pro Shop store in Louisiana. What does this have to do with the world's most annoying Chinese spy app / social media platform? Well, the guy says he was seeking TikTok fame. And to be fair, the video did go viral, but unfortunately for this moron, it was a video from a bystander who captured the whole thing on her cell phone, then posted it on Facebook to the delight of about 250,000 people and counting. As stupid as this was, I don't even know if it makes the top 10 worst TikTok fails that we've covered on this show.
I saw this video. I just thought it was a Louisiana version of SeaWorld or something.
Come on, they're not that backward.
Hold that thought. We're getting a call.
All right, I'll take this one. Let's see. Area code 972. You're on the War on Morons. State your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Llewellyn. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas, and I was saying, this is not the only person who's going viral on TikTok right now.
Oh, Llewellyn, let me guess. You got a TikTok account now?
Well, I don't have a TikTok account, but I've been going pretty viral myself. They're hashtagging it, #concealing Karen, and I keep telling my kids to comment on there, telling them my name is not Karen, it's Llewellyn,
hold
but,
on. Wait, concealing and Karen, what did you do?
Well, I didn't do nothing wrong. I took my family to see Six Flags over Texas because they're reopening, and we went there, and all of a sudden these people just started accosting me and my family, saying, you have to wear a mask, and I said I absolutely do not have to wear a mask.
Well, I think Llewellyn, I think that's their policy. Honestly, I'm not a big, fan of the masks myself, but you gotta respect the businesses, especially a big theme park that's reopening. If they say they need you to wear a mask, it's unfortunately something you kind of have to do, right?
Well, look, they can have their policies if they want, but I told them, I don't have to do anything. It is my constitutional right not to wear a mask, okay? So they cannot infringe upon the Constitution. Now, they tried to get smart with me, and they said, where in the Constitution does it say that you don't have to wear a mask? And I told them, it's in the Second Amendment, and I pulled out my gun, and that's when...
You pulled a gun out at Six Flags?
Absolutely right, I did. It's Six Flags over Texas, not Six Flags over New York.
What happened next? Please don't tell me you shot somebody.
Well, no, they all rushed me and knocked me to the ground, and I'm going to have my husband sue them because they assaulted me.
That's going to happen when you pull out a firearm and what I'm assuming is a pretty big crowd of people. Jesus.
Well, look, they wouldn't have had any problems if they'd have just let me, live my life and my freedom, the way the Constitution allows me to do. I don't know where these people get off. You'd think they were running businesses in Soviet Russia or something.
Yeah, it sounds like it. With them trying to get you to wear a mask. I bet next time you show up there, you're not going to have a mask on either, right?
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be a next time. I have a lifetime ban as it is. So we're just going to have to go to SeaWorld next time, and hopefully they're a bit more American there.
All right, don't shoot the dolphins.
Now you sound like one of those commies.
You know, at some point, you'd think that, like, they would, like, take her gun away or something, right?
I mean, I don't know. Her logic was actually kind of on point. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but the Second Amendment protecting your right to not do anything you want to do, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, by that logic, I mean, I could do anything I want. You know, let's not stop with the masks. Let's go back to that dude in Georgia. Don't have to wear pants. You know, if he brought his gun, if he brought his service pistol to the sauna with him, I mean, they wouldn't have stopped him from jerking it.
You know, you might have a point there. This might be a new legal defense that catches on.
Yeah, hashtag 2A, baby. All right, so, looks like after that, I don't know about you, I could use a quick break.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so we got one more commercial. Let's just roll this, and then we'll round up the show.
Cool.
America, do you feel like your so-called president cares about the children? How could you? We've seen Donald Trump personally attack child livelihoods all across the world, separating children from their parents and other handlers to lock them in cages on the Mexican border, threatening their manufacturing jobs in China and Southeast Asia, even interfering with their burgeoning show business careers at the hands of the Hollywood elite. And now, this alleged president dares to say that your kids should stop watching television and go to school in the midst of a pandemic that's killed nearly 24 American children? Worse yet, this supposed president goes on record in support of forcing innocent, helpless babies to be born into a racial jungle. And then, he doesn't even want to give them gender reassignment surgery until after their 18th birthday. Don't you think America deserves a leader who will reach down and grab our children from despair, and who will hold them close no matter who gives him permission? A leader who not only loves the children, but, well, who some say loves them a little too much. Then stop hiding and cast your vote for Joe Biden.
I'm Joe Biden, and
You know the thing.
Was that a campaign ad? Like, what made them think our show was the best use of their budget there?
I mean, forget about their budget. Are they actually leaning into the Creepy Joe thing?
Hey, I mean, it's 2020. You know, pedophilia is just an orientation now.
Ah.
Yeah, Joe's breaking boundaries. He's a hero, and he is cornering the pedophile vote.
You know what? Yikes. Let's just get back to the headlines and wrap this one up.
All right.
This next story is out of Paragould, Arkansas, where a man is facing a dozen charges for doing donuts in a cemetery. The incident happened just after 11:30 a.m. last Wednesday and led to the 43-year-old getting charged with 12 counts of destruction, removal of a cemetery, or grave marker, leaving the scene of an accident with property damage, and driving on a suspended driver's license.
Wait, so this guy just went on like a grave desecration spree and completely sober in the middle of a freaking weekday?
I mean, I don't know that he was completely sober, but either way, it's Arkansas. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to do for fun out there.
I figured he was sober because, I mean, they listed like 18 charges. But, I mean, to be fair, you know, he might have been on a voter registration drive.
Yikes.
Just like this week's first sponsor, voterip.org. Or this story from WAGA TV in Atlanta, where a cat that died 12 years ago was sent a voter registration application. Yep. You heard it right. A dead cat is somehow being solicited to vote. People are worried about illegal immigrants. They're worried about felons rocking the right to vote. Do you know how many cats there are in this country?
Yeah, and the fact that they, track their deaths on record is pretty surprising. But either way, they're all going to vote Biden, too,
Well, yeah, because Democrats are always trying to steal elections, right?
No, because Trump tried to grab him.
Oh, God.
Get it, grab him by the pussy?
yeah, I get it.
Anyway, in other animal news, a 72-year-old woman was gored multiple times by a bison after getting too close taking pictures at Yellowstone Park. The woman, unsurprisingly from California, approached within 10 feet of the bison multiple times, trying to get the perfect shot before the animal lost its patience and nearly killed her. Look, if we're all going to maintain a 6-foot distance from other human beings until the end of time, I kind of feel like we should give 2,000-pound wild animals a little more than 10 feet.
I thought the most dangerous thing in Yellowstone was getting in the way of Yogi Bear's picnic basket. Either way, though, the most important takeaway from this is, did she get the picture?
Oh, I think she gets the picture now.
Oh, yeah. If only this were on TikTok.
I know, right? What a boomer.
All right, so I've got one last story in the stack tonight. This one's from good old CNN, which, as an aside, I would only recommend watching under the influence of heavy psychedelic drugs. One of Biden's least impressive potential presidential picks is junior Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth. She was on CNN on Independence Day weekend for one of their little softball interviews, and she just couldn't help herself. They asked her whether or not we should consider tearing down statues of George Washington. Well, Duckworth not only replied that she thinks we should certainly listen to the argument, but went on to say that we should think about ripping down Mount Rushmore and giving it back to the Indians. About President Trump's 4th of July speech at Mount Rushmore, she said, quote, "He spent all this time talking about dead traitors." Mount Rushmore is, Washington, Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt? Where are the traitors?
I really do not know. Technically Washington was a traitor, right? If you were King George.
I guess. Are they trying to say we should go back to Great Britain or something? Honestly, at this point, would it be that bad?
I don't even know anymore. They've got better TV at least.
Yeah, good point. Oh, just on time, as always, we're getting a call. 617 area code. Should we pick it up?
Might as well now. All right, caller, you're on the air. State your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Ben, and I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for calling in, Ben. What made you decide to give us a ring?
Well, I couldn't believe my ears. You're talking about that George Washington. I really wanted to weigh in.
Okay, well, feel free.
Yeah, well, you're acting like it's some sort of a wild-eyed, crazy idea to rip his statues down. They should rip his statues down wherever they stand. They should rip him from the pages of history. They should burn the name Washington, every school, every institution, on this continent. George Washington was a scoundrel.
Well, what? I've got to say, Ben, this is pretty weird. I've never heard someone talk so...
No, George Washington, he was a liar. He was a cheat. He cheated his way to the top. He didn't care about liberty for the colonies. The only thing George Washington wanted was power and glory for himself. And if it weren't for his vanity war, Revolution War, my arse, if it wasn't for his vanity war, thousands upon thousands of Americans wouldn't have needed to die in slaughter, at the hands of the king's men. So George Washington, you can wipe his name from every book.
Ben, he founded this country, for God's sake.
He founded this country. That's what he would want you to believe. If it weren't for George Washington, I can tell you America would be in much better shape now. George Washington he was vile. I hate him.
What? Why do you have such a problem with George Washington?
Did I not make myself
go?
Oh, George Washington. You know, for one, he tried to hold me back. He tried to hold me back in the Continental Army. I should have been promoted. You know, long before 1780, I gave him plenty of time, I did. Plenty of time.
Okay, there's no way you were alive in 1780.
1780, that's when I chose the correct side, the proper side. That's when I went back to King George, you know, a proper king, because George Washington, that vile bastard, he was not the leader of the army. They call me a traitor. George Washington was a traitor.
Who the hell are you?
Where am I? I told you, I'm in Boston.
Not where are you? Who the hell do you think you are?
I told you, Benedict Arnold, at your service.
Oh my God, you are not Benedict Arnold.
She says I am Benedict Arnold. I'm wearing my red coat now. And I'm just going to get back we're doing a reenactment later this evening. It's going to be, I think, the Battle of Bunker Hill. I can't quite remember.
Oh, you're an insane reenactor.
Reenact. No, look, I'm not supposed to break character, but I heard you talking about George Washington. I really wanted to call in. People really don't understand how wild he was.
Well, look, Ben, I mean, calling up and pretending you're some...
You can call me Benedict, that's fine.
You know, I'll call you whatever you want. You know, this is ridiculous. Calling up pretending you're some sort of immortal being who was personally wronged by a man who lived like 300 years ago?
To kill me.
You weren't alive!
Oh, hold on. They're talking about the war on the radio. Yeah, all right. Sorry, man. I don't know. Hey, you got a cigarette?
Christ.
Oh, sorry.
You know, this is insane. Yeah, I don't know how far you take these war reenactments, but it's really not that serious.
It's massively serious. All right. Look, let me wrap the call. I'll be there in a minute. I didn't know. I thought we were great. George Washington's a bastard.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Benedict. Bye-bye.
How the hell was he listening to our show while he's doing a war reenactment?
I mean, are they even still doing war reenactments right now? I mean, that doesn't sound like a quarantine-friendly activity.
I mean, honestly, if he's trying to recreate the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, anything like that, it wouldn't hurt to get some disease involved, so...
Yikes.
At this point, though, I mean, that's all I've got. There's nothing left in the stack, and I really don't want to take any more calls. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's just wrap it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.
Brother, you better get down on your knees and pay 1,000 more fools are being born every fucking day.